what's normal for a plant? A sunflower that's like 7 feet tall, or grass that's like, this is pretty tall for grass, right? So you have to be specific. You have to specify what you're talking about because your audience don't know what a normal height of your plant is. You have to tell us, okay? Any questions about being specific? All right, so simplify these phrases. Perform a study. How do you simplify that? To be concise. Perform a study. Anyone? Study. Study. Make use of. Use, right? Make measurement of. Make a decision. Make a proposal. Okay. So you see that this is not an incorrect way to write these things, but there's a more correct way to be concise. It may seem nitpicky, and it is, and that's the nature of scientific writing. It's very particular, very specific, kind of nitpicky. Yeah. And you'll see when you guys get into some of your classes, you're going to get so mad at your professor because you're going to say, they know what I meant, or now I'm just being nitpicky. You're right. And that's the nature of it. You have to be very concise. Do you have comments?
No, that's pretty much exactly it. Is you need to convince me you know what you're talking about. It's not my job to interpret what you said and make sure that it makes sense. That's not what I'm there for. You're there to make sure I know what you're talking about. That's what a paper should look like.
And also, when your professor is reading a paper, they want to know the facts. So when they have to dig through your paper to find the facts, it becomes annoying. And then at that point, they're just going to exit everything out. And they're just going to give you a lower grade. Only because they had to dig so deep to get to your point. Okay? These are warnings. Really clear warnings. Okay, so be clear. Keep it simple. So I'm sorry. I regret to inform you that we are not impressed by the words you use in college. I know in high school, SAT words, they want you to use more words and know more words, which is great. But I've known some students who would obsess over every word and go to the thesaurus or a dictionary to find a grandest word that would fit there. It's annoying. It's insulting. It's a waste of time. Don't waste your time trying to find the best word, like the biggest word you can find that no one really uses in the English language to communicate your point. That's not the point of scientific writing. It's very basic. The topic that you're going to be writing about is going to be complex enough that you don't have to dress it up with big words. Okay? Be clear. But sometimes when you use those big words, your meaning kind of get lost in translation. And your professor is not going to take the time to look up what that word means if he doesn't know. And he's just going to feel insulted and he's going to give you a bad grade. It happens. Okay? So, complex sentences confuse the audience. I'm not saying use 3-word sentences. I'm not saying, it should have a goal of no sentence should go over 1 line. But don't make it harder than it has to be. If you need 3 sentences to explain one thing, that's totally fine. As long as it's fluid and clear. Don't obsess over making it pretty or making it look like you're intelligent. We know that you're intelligent. You're at Emory. You don't have to prove that to anyone. Ever. Just communicate. Okay? Any questions about that? Any quorums? Anyone want to duke it out about it? Anyone can feel passionately about their long sentences and big words? No? Okay, good. Alright, so and I know this goes against all of high school teaching, but you have to shorten your sentences to clarify your point. And again, this goes back to proofreading. If you're reading your sentence and you kind of get lost in what you're trying to say, you probably need to cut that sentence up a little bit. Just a little bit, maybe 2 to 3. But you do need to have a variety of sentences. Don't make it sound choppy, where you're so concerned about making short sentences that you kind of lose the point of the paper. And you have to decide what information is important and what's not. So this comes into play when you have to explain something that's very complex in a short amount of paper space. So you may have a 1-page paper where you have to explain something very complex. You're going to have to proofread that thing about 3 times to cut down things that you really don't need. And believe me, you're gonna have to cut down probably a third of it. It's necessary. You have to do it. Okay? Any questions about that? Alright, so let's practice some more and simplify these words. Activate. Start. Analyze. Component. Part. Commence. Start. Begin. So these are not hard words, but let's not use this like old English language where you try to feel like very formal and very intelligent. That's not the point. Get to the point. Tell me what you mean what you say, and you should be good. Okay? Alright. So identify what part of the sentence is important. So if you have an issue of proofreading your own paper and you can't decide what part of the sentence is important and what part of the sentence isn't, ask yourself again, what's the main topic? What do I want to say about the main topic? What can I cut out? What in this paper does not contribute to the main topic? Many times you will see that there's a lot of interesting information in these articles. There's a lot of interesting facts. Just because it's interesting doesn't mean that it belongs in your paper. Is that clear to everyone? Questions about that? Okay, we'll see tomorrow. Be familiar. So you have to cater to your audience. I'm not saying use slang or jargon, but you have to use a language that the audience will understand. If you don't, it's like if you don't know any language but English and it's Chinese and you just can't read it. It's the same thing.